Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to New Brit Workshop. I've got to admit defeat. Now, when I built the shed and made the door, and I was very proud of my one old-fashioned penny width gap all the way around the door, someone said, "Oh, that will expand in the winter." I said, "No, it'll be fine." Well, we've had a lot of rain recently, that's my excuse, and the door has expanded, and I realise I've got to take a bit off it. The only trouble is that with my arthriticness, I'm going to find this easier to do in the workshop. So I'm going to go through that process and explain some of the little tricks that might help. Now, one of the awkward things about taking a door like this off is that it's not on a level surface. So I can't just use an ordinary wedge, which I'd use under a door in the house, when I undo the screws on the hinges. So I've got to have a better idea. And this is my trick for working on your own, trying to get a door like this off. And it's not a particularly light door either. I've got a piece of wood, a couple of clamps. And what I'm going to do is to choose my spot on the ground, and my spot is going to be just here, I think. That's good enough. And I'm going to attach this piece of wood to the door using the clamps. And the piece of wood is going to be resting on the ground. I've got those quite reasonably tight. The door can just move a dash, as you can see. But what that now means is that I can take out all 16 screws that hold these 4 hinges in, and hopefully then the door will not fall away and become unmanageable. Now I've left a screw here, and there will be one left here at the very top, and there will be just 2 screws holding doors on before I finally take a deep breath and move it away. Oh, the other thing I should point out is that when you're dealing with doors like this, don't take the screws out of the door side, take the screws out of the frame side so that the hinges remain attached to the door. I've just got those 2 screws left. So I'll just take out this bottom one here. And when I take out the top one, I'm going to hang on to the door in case it wants to do any little sort of wiggly movement. So that's the door now free. What I'm going to do now is just very gently move it away. So that's the door off. I'm now going to take a pencil to this end here, and I'm going to mark just there so I know when I want to put this piece of wood back, so that I can rehang the door, I know exactly where it should go. So that's it. And I'll just write the word top there. It's pretty obvious, but I'll do it anyway. And that's it. I can now take the door into the workshop. And as I'm working on my own, the next little gadget is this little door skate. I think I've mentioned it before. Got it ages ago from Trend, and it's got a little pair of wheels, and the door rests there. I can wheel this door all the way back to the workshop. That's the theory anyway. So here I go, off to the workshop. And this is really pretty easy, as you can see. And I'm an old guy with arthritis. I must say, that made it so easy, as I think you just saw. Brilliant gadget. Right. Okay, now the other thing I don't have in the workshop is a proper way of holding a door up, because I'm not doing doors very often. So what I've got here is I've got this rectangular frame I made ages ago for something or other. I can't remember what it was. So I'm going to use that on one side using a clamp. And at the bottom here I'll use this larger clamp like so. And that now has made that certainly stable enough for me to work on. You can't quite see it, but my support arrangement is down at this corner and it's holding the door upright reasonably well, and so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to take the hinges out. I'm going to take 2mm off the hinge side, and the reason I choose the hinge side is if I chose the lock side, then I would have to adjust the locking mechanism, and maybe by an amount that would require me to elongate the keyhole, which I really don't want to do. So I'm going to take it off the hinge side, and the first thing to do after taking those hinges off is to make the slots for those hinges 2mm deeper, and I'll do that with the router and a chisel. Now, I'm sure that many professionals will tell you that hinges do vary from one hinge to another, even when they've come out from the same packet. And so I always mark my hinges so I know where they've got to go back. Now, I know I'm about to use the router and I'll get rid of the numbers on the door, but I know it's always 1 at the top going down to 4 at the bottom. So they're all numbered and I know which side is the door side. Now, these particular hinges, these are security hinges, do have D for door marked on them, but my 2 middle hinges are some brass ones, so I've had to write door on those, so I know it's the door side. Now, before I use the router to cut down here, I'm just going to take the edges down by a little bit so that I've got something to work to when I'm clearing out the last little bit which the router can't manage. Now, always be careful when you're going along the grain, you're doing a chisel indentation like this. Don't do it too vigorously because this piece will break away and you'll be terribly disappointed. Now, in order to make the routing easier, what I want to do is to know where I can start and stop when I go this way, because sometimes it's not easy to see. So I've turned the cutter so the sharp edge is facing there and there, and I'm just going to move this now up to that position, and I know that that is as far that way as I want to go, so I'm going to put a pencil mark here, which is just short of where the end of the fence is. So I know actually I need to stop there, not there. And down here, I'll do the same. Pencil mark just short where the fence is. And I'm going to do that for each of these, which really will speed the process up and make it less prone to error. So I've set my plunge depth. My limit of exploitation is set by the fence, and so I won't go beyond that line. And I've got my pencil marks to tell me where to start and stop. Right, I said my top and bottom hinge are security hinges, and there has to be an allowance for a little indentation for part of the security mechanism. So I'm just going to continue that down a tiny bit. Doesn't need to go very far. That's that. And now all I've got to do is use my chisel just to take out the final little bit. I'm just going to continue that process for the other 3 slots. Now, ordinarily for a job like this, I would use my low angle jack plane, and it would probably take me about 10 minutes to do this. But the old arthritic-ness has got the better of me at the moment, and so I've been lucky enough to be able to borrow this electric planer from a friend of mine. I've not tried using it before. He did give me some instruction, and he said, just take it nice and gently. So the idea is I'm going to take 0.5 millimetre off each pass, and I'm going to do 4 passes. That theoretically will be 2 millimetres. So let's see how this goes. I think from my days when I was having a go with something similar to this, that I remember when you start, you've got to remember to push down on the front part of the sole plate here. And at the end of the cut up there, you've got to make sure you're putting pressure on at the back to keep the rear half of the sole plate in contact. and all along you're keeping it flat on the surface, of course. So here we go. I can see how I was leaning over a bit this way, so I've got to improve my technique a bit now. So let's see if I can do that. Oh, that's better. Oh yeah. Okay, that's fine. So that's 2. I've just got to watch where I start here. I've got just a little ding there, but it's only very minor. So let's see if I can improve my starting. This time I think that's a question of putting a little bit more pressure on the front part of the sole plate to begin with. That's 3. Just 1 more to go. Hey, it's not bad, not bad, not bad. That's it, 4 passes. That's exactly what I want. So I'm good to go. With all of that done, I can put these hinges back on. And I have put a little coat of the wood preserver on this raw edge. So that's fine. Well, that was easy. So in order to get this back to where it should be, I'm going to put this bit back on, and it went on more or less like so. Alright, that's those 2 clamps nice and tight. So I can now offer the door up and start thinking about getting the screws in. Now when one is on one's own, this part is quite tricky. The reason it's tricky is the door is heavy. You've got to have someone or something holding this end up, and I've got that little gadget. But the other thing you've got to do is have all your screws and screwdrivers handy. Well, I've got this. I was given this for Christmas by my brother as a little Christmas present, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And it's a magnetic wrist strap. So the screws which I'm going to need whilst I'm holding the door up are going to be just there. It's quite good, really. And just in front of, well, I've got to tell you, I got all these old double glazing units out of a skip to make what I thought would be a cold frame. And they've been in there for ages. I'm not going to have a cold frame, so I've got to get rid of them. Anyway, I'm sorry about the mess in there. Anyway, so I'm now going to off everything up and go hammer and tongs. And I've got the screwdriver just sitting on top of that picnic chair. So, I've just opened out the hinges so they're all sort of sticking out in line with the door. And after you've done this a few times, you'll have a knack for doing doors. If you drop a screw, as I've just done, don't worry about it. Take another one. That's why I've got 6 of them on this magnetic thing on my wrist. Once you've got the first screw in, you're almost home and dry. You've got to really get the second screw in to be sure. I'm just putting one in on the 3rd hinge down. And once that's in, I can now relax. So that wasn't too bad. I'll try not to have edited out that at all anyway, unless I've sworn. I won't know until I look at it. But anyway, I'm now just going to put the rest of the screws in. Now this was given to me as a present, and so I don't know where it came from. Just Google, I don't know, magnetic wrist strap and see what you find. It's got orange and black colouring. It's orange and black colouring, and it says on there powerful magnets to be a powerful man. Well, how about that? Sorry, girls. And that's the last screw gone in. Now I can take off my clamps here. Let's see if it works. Perfect. How about that? Many thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.